or a slap on the knee, and the two would proceed on their merry ways, happy to have fulfilled the Welch social contract. This greeting even sufficed in the cold heart of winter, when snow was nearly knee-deep. Conformity must be conformed to, no matter the present contradictions. At the railroad crossing, red and yellow lights flashing, Jam came to a halt. He was in front of Mr. McCormick's house. Being that it was just past 10, McCormick was out in his khakis and button-down, mowing his grass. It was a daily ritual. Every morning at 10 o'clock he would come out, mow, rake, and then water. Spring, summer, fall, and winter, it was always the same routine. Not even the weather stood in his way. Sun, rain, and even snow. In the dead of winter, McCormick employed a system he had fine-tuned over decades. It involved the use of a snowblower, ample application of Miracle-Gro, and a series of UV lights that would be the envy of even the most prodigious pot grower. McCormick's yard was the envy of Welch, and growing a fine set of grass of the proper shade of green and the ideal length of 3/4 of an inch, no more no less, was known as growing a McCormick, an issue of much pride for those able to obtain it. That green was about the most color the whole town had. The train flew by and the gates lifted. Jam pedaled off over the tracks and into the old commerce district. These days, there wasn't much commerce going on. Strip malls lay abandoned, their signs fading and rotting away. Now they were just the relics of a past boom. The vacancies were blamed on Obama, before that on Bush, and when Jam was little, the decline of Welch was blamed on Clinton. Word had it that the Homeowners Association was planning on passing the blame on to Trump, just as soon as the matter was properly discussed and voted upon. The last measure of commerce in town was the 7-Eleven, where Jam had found himself dutifully employed since his high school days. He liked to tell people that he was only working there while on break. A break from what was never explained, nor was it ever asked. He was simply on break. The 7-Eleven was a veritable hotbed of interstate commerce for Welch. It survived mostly on people who accidentally took the wrong exit on the interstate and were trying to find their way out of Welch, a town that inexplicably had a dearth of signage for its roads and surrounding highways. Jam's best friend and fellow 7-Eleven clerk, Jim McLeod, leaned over the counter, hand perched under his chin, eyes fixed on the old cathode ray tube television in the corner. The decades-old television's image flickered from age and several falls from the shelf. Like everything else in Welch, it was from a bygone era. Jam walked into the store and took his place behind the counter. Jam and Jim had an important ritual at the beginning of every workday. In fact, it was the closest thing to a religious observance that either had. They checked their lotto tickets. After all, if they were winners and didn't know, they would be wasting an entire day working for no reason. Jam was the official keeper of the tickets and produced them from his back pocket with a flourish. In total, there were 3 tickets they hadn't checked yet, and he slid the first one into the lotto machine. The pair waited with bated breath at the prospect of instantly being propelled into the category of millionaires. The lack of cheery digitized music emerging from the machine marked the ticket as a loser. That loss did not deter the pair. Jam slid the second lotto ticket into the machine and was met with the same result. He held the final ticket in his hand and rubbed it vigorously for luck. Then, with closed eyes, slid it into the machine slot. A second later, a cheery tune played, announcing that they were winners. Jam snapped open his eyes, hoping and expecting to see a sum with a vast amount of zeros attached to it. Instead, the amount was much smaller. Single digits small. In fact, they had only won back the original amount they'd invested, $3. That always seemed to be the case with them. With a shrug of acceptance, Jam purchased 3 new tickets with their winnings and resolved that those new tickets would indeed be the next jackpot winners. Eventually, their numbers would be the winning ones. After all, it was simple math. Their morning ritual continued. If they couldn't be million-dollar lotto winners, they could at least win with scratch-offs. Both Jam and Jim produced a 20 and ripped off several scratchers. The pair was perennially broke, but some...